Hey love, today we're going to fix self-worth issues. Now, before we start, let's see how the game works. So, you can test your energy, ask your intuition, how deserving do I feel from 1 to 10? And your intuition will scan your subconscious mind and will give you a number. First number that pops into your mind, this is how much you are in resonance with your own self-worth, right? Now, 10 out of 10, I've experienced this feeling a few times. And here's the thing, you are a bundle of joy. Now, I know for a fact that when I first experienced this feeling, I wasn't used to it. It was almost like never ever before in my human experience I've ever felt that loved, okay? And this was, well, one of my first experiences of God, right? Now, it was kind of a transcendent experience that I had. And, you know, the fact of our existence is that we exist also in higher densities, higher dimensions. And in these dimensions, there is no fear. There is only unity consciousness or super conscious. Okay. So I had this experience. I was smoking some DMT. And oh my God, was everything beautiful. And it was so beautiful that I just noticed when I came back into my normal human experience right after that, how constricted it felt, how awkward it felt to relate to other human beings, that you cannot express all this love and that you do not feel receiving that unconditional love, that omni love from everybody else. So immediately I was bummed out. Now what this taught me, that, and if you ever had like an MDMA type of experience, something like this is your nature, right? So I used to have these experiences also when I was younger, and something stuck with me. I was like, this is possible. Why don't I experience this in my everyday life? And throughout years of self-inquiry and self-realization, I've learned what to do, how to fix it, so I'm going to share it with you. So basically, there is that dimension of you where, my bro, you are literally God and there's nothing else. And everybody everywhere are like these millions of beings, and they're just like made of light, and they're just having fun, and they're playing like kids, creating universes, and this is all you, okay? And so when you are in your human first person experience, you don't know this, you don't notice this all the time. What you notice is human condition, which is trying to do something to get something, right? Trying to compensate for some lack, okay, apparent lack, right? So somewhere along the line I found out that because we are raised in a virtual world where there is this trick duality, which is like God forgets himself or itself and becomes Super Mario in a video game. Okay? And then also there are forces of like darkness that are going to sway you away from love, and world is somewhere in between. So you're growing up in this world where you don't remember the ultimate omni love, and what you are given, the type of love that you're given, is conditional. Okay, people judge you. Okay, and then you don't feel loved, and then you start to interpret that, and then you start to internalize that judgment. So it becomes like a sort of like a curse that you carry. Now, good thing is that I found out that whatever we carry, this feeling of like weight and like just insecurity in our bodies, that we do not feel like we're good enough, and then if we want to try and play, we just feel depressed, or we even have resistance to trust life and trust ourselves. And then honestly, even when I thought about God, that was a weird concept before, because intellectually everything is a weird concept. And you live in a made-up world. You live in a reality construct that is simulating this experience. Now, why is this reality simulating this experience, which is awfully mortal, and there are all these like fears and drama, and so we're just not relaxing into the cuteness of what we really are? And the answer is experience, choice, and just also like theater. Okay, so this is kind of God's theater, and it can be a crappy one if you do not know how to play the game of life, how to self-realize, how to master yourself. So in mastering yourself, in mastering myself, I found out one thing. All of these inherent conditionings, so all of these feelings of low self-worth were impressed on us when we were growing up, and the body and the energetic memory records the impressions, and we emulate how other people talk, walk, feel, and what they do, so we just learn how to behave like everybody else. And this becomes somewhat a neuroplasticity. A neuroplasticity means that you have behavioral patterns in your energetic memory that now your individuality uses like an operating system, everything you ever impressed, everything you ever remembered, and you don't feel how it was before you incarnated, and you don't, even if you felt like sometimes like nice, you had a really great day, you felt really like love, you were like smiling to everyone and just feeling juicy, then perhaps a different period in life comes when you feel compressed, depressed, and you forget all about it. So we experience life through our own energetic memory, and the habits and behavioral patterns are impressed there. It's like an operating system made of energy, and what we feel about ourselves is actually this energy that we carry. Okay, and if you're familiar with energy healing, then somebody may say, you have a blocked chakra, or your RAM memory is just compressed with some impressions that are not love, but they're stuck there. So how to defragment? the blocked chakra or feeling of low self-worth, first you need to understand something about the technology. Okay, you can call this spiritual technology, or how this reality construct works. Simply, you are consciousness that is then projecting into a soul bubble. Your soul bubble is your own virtual reality individual headset. Okay, it's a reality bubble that is an energy construct, and then that soul merges with a physical body, and then you are soul that is born incarnate in a physical body, and then you start to go around in your physical body, and in your soul energy puts all of these impressions. So you need to take and like a scrub and scrub your soul out, right, energetically, to get rid of these impressions where it's just like right. And so how to do this, all of this sounds very like spiritual, but I'm giving you a landscape, okay, so we can give you some information, some understanding of what you're working with. Now actually, when it comes to the solution, it should be fairly easy, but I didn't want to mention that just straight up without any context, because it might sound too random. Okay? So, scrubbing your soul. Now, when we talk about feeling low self-worth or any other problem where we don't feel like we are good enough, okay, or we can trust life, or we just feel juicy and playful, it is compressed energy of our impressions. Now I'm going to tell you one thing about the energy, your energetic memory, that defines the feeling of your individuality. The energy that you hold, that you experience your life through, is like a filter that you use to interface with your reality. It's who you are as an individual. That is not fixed. That is very fluid. Your soul is made of this energy, and it's like water. So water wants to move, it wants to flow, it follows the path of least resistance. And in this way, who you feel yourself to be can wash itself out. Okay, bear with me. So, to you that are not this body, and even not your individual soul, you are the universal self, or just consciousness. To you, as this universal self, all the space, time, energy, physical bodies, individuals, and souls are just like a construct, okay? A dream that you're having. Bear with me, please. So on the level of your consciousness, you're dreaming the whole universe. And imagine what powerful dreamer you are when you are dreaming the whole freaking universe all at once. Okay, now you zoom in here and become everybody in first person, and so from this narrow perspective, you don't remember this, or you need to go into a very elevated state of meditation or use some kind of psychedelic to even expand your awareness. Now, of course, on my journey, I used to eat some magic mushrooms and smoke some DMT and just be, wow, I can't believe I'm all this, right? But it comes also to you through just means of self-realization. So really kind of going into yourself that you can have all of these experiences. I didn't know this before because what? I was identified with my body. And then naturally I was identified with my feelings and with my ego and with my human perspective on reality. So I thought, what is the way to find something out? And the only thing that I heard that promised such an experience was this DMT. Okay. And now I know that actually I can follow a simple pathway through my consciousness and get into the same experience, not looking for something in this reality other than myself, because I know how to experience myself as just consciousness. And after experiencing that for so many times, it becomes sort of obvious. So check out my videos on 0 point consciousness experiencing if you wanna do this, try this out for yourself. But now let's get back into the method of clearing low self-worth. So what I found out is that to you, me, it's all one consciousness. Energy or karma of an individual is not really real. Even these bodies are not really real. Whatever is the construct of personality that we are interfacing through, it's not really real. It's just a dream. So, to that consciousness that we also call God, God can transform that dream. Okay, so God is you, but not immersed in the first person experience. So you, from that perspective beyond space and time, where you're dreaming the whole universe, you can transform your feeling of self-worth effortlessly. Now, here's a catch-22. Before becoming incarnate as every individual, every soul, okay, which is just an individualization of universal consciousness, every soul picks a type of blueprint, a type of game, a type of destiny, if you will, that is going to play out. And so it is by the choice of that soul that it will come into some type of circumstance and then find itself in favorable or less favorable conditions, and it's all a game. But to play the game, the soul, individuality, needs to have free will, so there's a contract between the soul and the absolute self, or God self, that nobody will interfere with the experience of that single player or soul. So now, as long as you are choosing your fate, choosing your destiny, no matter how jammed up you get, before you pray to God to get you out of that jam, you're just gonna stay in the same first-person experience. And so this is a catch-22, because now what happens? All of these humans around the planet, we are asking ourselves, why are we suffering? Why did the God made this world where there is so much suffering? If God is love, how can He then allow this hurt and just like atrocities and war and whatnot? And the answer is, bro, you are God. and you are choosing. So if you do not choose, things are gonna stay like they are, and that goes for every single individual. So unless everybody else chooses love, they're gonna perpetuate some karma or something that's just tripping balls in a video game, but it might have not so cool consequences for everybody who's experiencing that, because it might get dodgy, it might get painful, it might get weird, it might get, dark and whatnot. So the thing is, for the game to exist, every single individual needs to choose for themselves. So now check this out. Your incarnate choice point becomes you don't remember yourself as God. So where you think you're choosing from, you have to learn in this world what is presented to you, okay? And you don't know that you have the power to shift your complete identity or heal anything just like that. Okay, so you have to now pray and have faith into something that you don't remember what that is. And if you try to pray in a desperate moment, it might just work. And it worked for me because I got magically, miraculously healed a few times where I just, drive my car into a ditch or drive my first person immersion into a ditch, and something would come from inside of me where I was like, God, please help me. And then I said, I surrender my emotions, I surrender my thoughts, I surrender my knowing, I surrender my will. Just get me the F out of here. And then I would pass out, I would wake up, and everything would be okay. Or sometimes I would just get a burst of energy that would just defragment me and clean me up. So there is still a way that you are the absolute omnipotence that can come to the rescue. Okay? But if you do not ask from your own free will, then things are going to stay according to the conglomerate of previous choices that you created from your first person immersion. Every choice you created from what you have known in your own free will, and you are God, so there's nobody else to tamper with your free will, right? So if these choices, they compound to either create something joyful and magnificent and just magical in your life experience, or these choices that you created in your free will compounded to create a sense of low self-worth, stagnation, and like just feeling that you're without exit strategy, without purpose, and just depressed. Perhaps, I hope not. But now we're watching this video together, so let's see. Something is perhaps the issue. Now, first information that I gave you is that it is actually in your power to completely transform how you feel, and that what you feel and what you know about yourself is created from this energy. And this energetic memory seems real to you because you experience it day by day in a continuous fashion, so it becomes a habit of knowing yourself through this identity. You may be failing to imagine yourself as that pure consciousness or God, or you may be failing to imagine yourself as another version of you, where you're human in your first person immersion, but you're having a jolly nice time. Why not? Okay. So here's the thing. You just need to give permission to your higher self or the universal self, which is you, when you're not zoomed into the first person, to shift you from any state of being to any other state of being. So let's say from a state of being where you don't feel self-love, self-worth, to a state of being where you do feel that. Word of caution, if you actually from your own free will ask for that shift to be immediate, you might feel just jolts of energy starting to rush through your body, and you might feel like you're losing it because something's going to happen inside of you that's going to totally energetically transform you. And if your ego is not prepared for that, okay, it might start to freak out. So there are ways to do this that are more subtle, and there are ways to do this where literally you get an instant override, but that might be not so comfortable if you do not know how to relax beyond ego. Okay, so this is some experience in meditation might have you know how to kind of like dip down or sink in where you are not bothered by anything. But if you're irritable, then I suggest you take some more tips from me about this, because I went through this a couple of times, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'll try to explain it to the best of my abilities. Okay. So again, reinstating that right here, there are energies, there are impressions in your soul. You feel yourself as these impressions, and you interface with the world through these impressions. So who would you be if you felt absolute self-love and absolute self-worth? What would you feel like? Would you allow that you effortlessly slide into that version of yourself, letting go, losing the previous feeling of who you are? This is something very important that you have to acknowledge and accept. It's a legal contract between you and your higher self. Okay. So the sense of low self-worth, you inherited that from the world. That's okay. It's nobody's fault. Everybody's playing in their own free will. Now, it's in your authority as your higher self to override that. And if you, as your individual self, choose to do that, then you just need to open up a sincere conversation with your higher self when you can arrange the terms. Now, I can give you a lot more information, but honestly, it is inside of you. The absolute infinite is inside of you. Okay. Here, infinite space and energy and forms and shapes, it's all a construct, it's an imagination. There is no space or time. God is everywhere. You are that. There's nothing other than that. So it would be best for you to take some advice from what I've said, take some inspiration from what I've said, and deal directly with your innermost self, with your higher self, whatever you want to call it, with God. Because when you open that channel of communication, you will start receiving intuitive flow. And this is why, honestly, people used to pray. I don't know if the art of prayer is still something that a lot of people remember or actually know how to do, it's simply coming into the center of all of your energies. It's your heart center. And then sincerely starting to talk to yourself. God, yourself. But that self that is outside of this personal construct. That is all-seeing, all-knowing, and omnipotent. So you want to invoke that power, you want to invoke that love, you want to invoke that wisdom to then intuitively, with your words, start to change who you are from this point, what you're feeling about yourself right now, sincerely noticing what that is. Is there a feeling of lack? Is there a feeling of something missing, low self-worth, whatever? And then don't ask God to change your reality and give you a compensation. Okay, this is egoic thinking. Like, when I get that, then I will feel better. Ask of it only to change your feeling about yourself. Now, once you start to feel amazing and you start to feel that you are just joyful about life, you will attract everything else into your life effortlessly. And you can just play. So this is a permission for you to perhaps kind of like shift quantumly into a version of you that's playing and enjoying everything, because why not? You came here to enjoy. This is a simple reminder. Thank you so much.